We're going to slip in a commercial break. Before we do, though, let's check in with, from Austin, Texas, criminal defense attorney Sam Bassett. Sam, what's your take on the motivation here for this probate hearing to get these kids declared dead?
I can't imagine that everybody doesn't have an eye on trying to solve this case. Maybe the publicity of it could generate a new tip in a murder investigation. But also, for civil reasons, oftentimes a parent or a loved one will seek a declaration of death for purposes of collecting insurance or other benefits related to the death of a loved one. But I have to think that a primary reason is to build some publicity with the hope that this crime, this apparent crime, will be solved somehow with new information.
Yeah, it sure does feel that way, that at this point, the things that Dad had said at the time, that, you know, these kids are going to be underground till they're 18 and out of high school, well, that has come and gone. It does seem to be something, this is a step in a multi-step sort of plan, and I wonder if it's coming from Mom, her attorneys, or if they're also getting guidance possibly from prosecutors to get these kids declared dead, and then when he's released from prison, maybe file charges. We'll have to wait and see. It's a complicated case, though, that's for sure. Let's get a break, and then we'll talk more about it, and we'll get you back into the courtroom for more of this probate hearing for the missing Skelton brothers in the state of Michigan. Stay with us. All right, we'll need a break, but first, Sam Bassett, what is your take here on the overall? We talked about it a little bit ago, the motivation here. The more this goes on, the more it seems almost like a preliminary hearing against John Skelton, where they're really zoning in on his behavior, the crazy things that he said and did during this critical time where the boys were missing, and he had them as part of the custody arrangement with his wife.
The thing that strikes me is the people that are assisting this investigator, the FBI and the John Walsh organization, are very sophisticated investigators. We don't know where they are in their investigation. And this hearing may be an opportunity for them to exploit new information or put more pressure on the suspect. That's one thing that strikes me, is these are not amateurs that are investigating this. This is the highest level of law enforcement that has investigated this case for many years. So we don't know where they are at this time. This hearing, to establish, at least in a civil manner, their death, could be the precursor also to a wrongful death lawsuit, which could also generate more information to assist law enforcement. As we know, there's no statute of limitations on a murder charge.
Yeah, and he's incarcerated, at least until November of this year. They have time. And to your point, during these years, this investigation has been going on, and I'm sure part of it was a hope that the kids would turn up their remains, or, you know, if by some miracle they themselves were still alive. That hasn't happened. He gets out. I wonder if the next plan is to then pursue him possibly criminally, because boy, there sure seems to be a lot there, even without the bodies. Let's get a break. We'll get you back for more of this right after this commercial. Stay with us. I have some breaking news to report out of the state of Illinois. The man accused of a deadly mass shooting in 2022, the Independence Day parade in Chicago, has just pled guilty. This happened moments ago. It was moments before opening statements were set to begin this morning. Robert Crimo withdrew his earlier not guilty plea and changed it to guilty for killing 7 and injuring a dozen more. The defendant's mother had an outburst in court when Crimo changed his plea to guilty. She was called out by the judge, warning her to not make any noises. But now his sentencing has been set for April 23rd. This is quite the turnaround. He was planning on representing himself in this case. Sam Bassett, I guess for everybody, the eve of trial conjures up a lot of different emotions and thought processes, and this young man said, you know what, I'm not going through with this, I'm pleading guilty. Your thoughts?
I often tell clients there's a reason they call it a trial. it is an extremely emotional, stressful crucible that comes together. And I think a lot of people, when they get into that moment of the actual trial and they see the gravity of what's about to take place, it really causes them to reevaluate their position. And that's assuming the person's a rational person. For whatever reason, Mr. Cremo decided he didn't want to go through the process. Perhaps he sees that the situation is hopeless in terms of saying not guilty.
Mm-hmm. And in the idea that he was going to be representing himself, that is a whole nother level. And at the end of the day, he may have been, to your point, faced with reality and said, I'm not doing it because I know I'm going to lose and maybe even embarrass myself. Let's get on with it. So there it is, April 23rd, the sentencing in that case.